Anyway, yes, this is Angela Taylor and Paul Cannon. They don't have a name. Or should we make up a name for them?
Oh yeah, the what is it, Hertfordshire?
Yeah, or Hertfordshire, or something about calling the Cob or Baileys. You'll get to that later.
The Cob Killers.
The Cob Killers. The Cob Killers. Yes, why not? And
Why
then
not?
Ice-T and Body Count can re-record their song.
Cob Killer.
Cob Killer. Although nobody was killed with a corn on the cob, but they are called the Cob Killers from now on. This is that.
Hello.
He's got
Echo's licking my tracker pad. It's not a you.
That's what I call my penis too. No, I don't.
What do you call your penis one?
I'm a mouse? I don't know. Anyway, Chris.
I'm Chris.
And I'm Christian.
This is Echo One.
A true crime podcast. This week we are doing a podcast topic that a listener sent in. Doing a podcast topic.
Is this the first time we've done this ever?
I don't know, but you can't tell I've got an English degree, can you?
Yeah.
But yes, we were sent this subject in. We didn't know about it. It's quite a recent subject by one of our listeners, Hilary Robertson, who was also the saxophonist from the Style Council.
Saxophonist?
Saxophonist?
I think it's saxophonist.
Saxophonist, whatever it is, played saxophone for the Style Council. Thank you so much for sending this subject in. We are going to give it a go. So, the Cob Killers. The Cob Killers from 2018 started on the 4th of June when William Taylor was reported missing by his lodger. I don't know how much time. I mean, basically, a lot of the information in here is sparse at best.
Yeah, because it's not massively high profile and it's very, very recent. The case finished. It's like the trial finished very recently. Yeah, there's not a whole hell of a lot.
No, but what there is actually quite interesting and opening for larger questions. Basically, William Taylor was a 69-year-old farmer from Gosby near Hitchin in Hertfordshire. He married Angela Taylor, who was younger than him, in 1997. About 16 years younger.
I believe he had a son, I think.
But they each had a child from previous relationships, but they went on to have 3 further children together.
Yep, because they didn't have enough already.
You know, because that's what happens.
Spung out some more.
I don't know why I had to go. Yeah.
It's a little bit like a cow.
Oh, thank you. Sexy. Yeah, they separated, William and Angela, in 2015. And this is the sticking point for me as to like motive. They entered into a post-marital agreement which split the estate in half. Bill signed over 2 farms and various outbuildings and 220 acres of land to her at no cost.
He's a multi-millionaire.
Yeah, debt-free she got this.
Yep.
So, granted, the divorce wasn't signed. They were separated and they've split the assets.
Yep.
We'll get into it, but I cannot see as divorce, a bit of paper being nullified, being a reason to kill anyone, no matter how much of a cock they are. Yeah, so that year, in 2015, Angela met Paul Cannon, who basically, he was going through his marriage was in trouble at the time, and William Taylor, or Bill, gave him a room to stay at one of his houses.
Yeah, so what you do, you're this nice old multi-millionaire man gives you somewhere to stay, you're going through trouble, so what do? Fuck his wife.
Fuck his separated wife.
Separated wife.
Yeah, she's not in pieces. Separated
Not
from
separated,
his
yeah.
wife.
But still married,
yeah.
and still he's putting a roof over your head. It's not very honourable.
It's
I
not
would say.
very honourable, and they started having a secret affair, which I don't know. If you're separated, I cannot see that as. I mean, I get that people go, "No, how do you're separated?"
Yeah, absolutely.
Fair game, but obviously situations.
I think perhaps he should have gone, and I say sorry, he. Oh shit,
William?
what's it called? No, not Bill. Paul should have maybe said, you know what I'll do? I won't stay in one of Bill's houses. I'll stay in one of the wife who I'm screwing's houses instead.
Yeah, that makes
She
sense.
owns loads of stuff now.
Yeah, stay in one of her farms.
Yeah, don't do it under Bill's nose.
But then that was like 2015. They started this. Basically, Paul's son found out about the little affair and told Bill, and Bill went to the quarry where Cannon worked as a digger driver. And after having a go at him, got him sacked. I'm sorry, but something comes up to your boss and goes, "Hey man, fuck my wife." All right, well, I'll give him the sack then. What a shit boss. Well, he's doing his job. I don't care what he's doing.
Yeah,
It's
maybe
not on his
Bill,
time.
though, as a mate, Bill's maybe he's probably quite influential
Bill's
with his
got
money
some
and owns
influence,
owns
yeah.
a lot of land.
But then in March 2018, Angela started divorce proceedings, which Bill was heavily against.
He was, regardless of. It seems like Bill was still, infatuated with her,
Hmm.
absolutely in love with her.
And looking at her picture, you can see why. You can't
No,
see
you
why.
can't see why.
You can't
No.
see why. I mean,
No,
she looks like a tree trunk.
She does. She looks like a fucking Dutch elm disease. And by all accounts, it seems a terrible, terrible human being.
Maybe.
But for some reason, he
He
still
still loved
loved her. And no
Um,
matter how much he fucking hated him, he still loved her.
yeah.
Just divorce her. Just get rid. Fucking
But
hell.
then there's 9 weeks before he disappeared, Bill reported to the police that his Land Rover had been torched.
Yes.
Now, this was just a report. Now, this is the bit of a time lapse because they don't actually check into DNA sampling or anything like that until he's gone missing. So, yeah, 9 weeks before he went missing, he reported his Land Rover was torched, which it was. But then after he was reported missing, it wasn't until 8 months later where they found a passing fisherman
Yeah.
found his skeletal body half out of the mud.
Yes.
Can you imagine how fucking terrifying that is? Going down this body is like he was in a secluded part of the riverbank on the river Hiz. His? I don't know how you pronounce it.
His.
River His, which was near one of his farms. So he was basically in the mud on a secluded riverbank by a bypass by the town.
Yes.
Which is an overpass for any American listeners. He was so decomposed that the cause of death has been ruled impossible to find out, although they found a fracture on his neck that only could suggest either A, strangulation,
Yeah.
or B, he just had a crack in his bone from
I think it's
caused
probably.
afterwards.
I assume it's probably a crack in the hyoid bone. I think it's the hyoid is the
Yeah.
one that they. is
But
like
they
the
said it could have
hangman's
been
kind of-
done post-mortem from when he was stuck in the
Yeah,
mud.
absolutely.
Like an animal could have found anything. Anything could have happened.
Yeah,
Like kids could have hit him with a stick. Who fucking knows?
absolutely.
I mean, he was
They,
not
they went to
hidden.
they're like, "Hey, want to see a dead body?"
Yeah, look at it. It's fucking lunging out of the water at us. I mean, but yeah, so there was zero forensic evidence around the body of even suggesting foul play of anything. Literally
No.
decomposing body in the mud. But of course, after some police investigation, Angela and Cannon were arrested.
What?
They were arrested because after doing full checks of everything around, they even looked into the burnt out Land Rover.
Yeah.
And they found in the Land Rover DNA that matched Cannon because a white towel was basically wrapped around the steering wheel, then the other end in a petrol can. So I don't get how, I'm trying to figure out how it was. So he had a petrol can on the driver's seat,
Mm-hmm.
a towel half in it,
Yeah.
coming out, then wrapped around the steering wheel.
I don't know why you'd bother doing that.
No.
I don't understand that at all.
But also, he apparently torched the car. How is any of the towels still around to find DNA of? It's fire. It doesn't sit there and go, I'll do half of that. I'm going to fuck off somewhere else.
Maybe I don't know how badly burnt out it was, but
It might have just been, I mean, the
'cause-
petrol can must have gone up. I don't know. It's like, it seems really odd that there would be,
yeah.
I mean, if it's an explosion, you can understand bits surviving because of how it pushes everything outwards.
yeah.
But this is literally a fireball, yet something very flammable
Didn't
didn't burn.
flam.
And they but they found that, but they also found DNA from Gavin Folds, who's Angela's
Does he?
son. Oh, he does.
Hmm.
But they found DNA from Gavin Folds, and all the prosecution said is that this proves that the arsonist came from Angela's house. No, it doesn't at all. It proves that a towel
Yeah.
was around Angela's house. But let's say Bill wanted to set fire to his own car and blame Angela. Nick a towel from their house and put it in there. I'm not
Yeah.
accusing trying to speak bad of the dead, but that is not evidence that somebody in the house did it.
No, it's evidence that someone from the house was in contact with the towel that was
Yeah.
in the car. It's circumstantial, I guess. It puts someone potentially in the place, but there's no.
But also, it could have been Gavin Folds taking the towel from Bill's house, which would have had Paul Cannon's DNA on it, as he was the lodger at one point.
Yeah.
Also, that we got to talk about his remains.
Yes.
In the Mud.
in the
half
mud,
out,
half
sticking
out the mud. Yep.
Probably with his arms outstretched, with an expression going.
Like, I have I have the
That's
I have the exact picture in my head that
Which
is.
I can't imagine it was, because this is a bypass, and after 8 months, you think somebody would have seen it apart from a passing fisherman. I know it was a bit secluded. It was a fucking horrible place.
I'd imagine he was probably flat to the mud,
Yeah.
but in my head he was sticking up out of the mud.
Like a little Halloween kind of
Yeah.
horror house.
Yeah,
thing.
absolutely. Every time someone walks past, it goes like it's triggered by movement. It's like, "Ah!" Shouldn't no, we don't laugh at the victims.
Well, this is a different one, because I don't know. Anyway, his remains. It wasn't just the remains that we're picking on. It was what was around
what
his
was
remains.
found, because so there's the defense, obviously they don't have to come up with what happened, they just have to try and put doubt.
Yeah.
So so part of that is they come up with a couple of different suggestions of what might have occurred. And so I think you've already understood that it's a beautiful spot. It's next to it's next to like a flyover or whatever. It's
all
boggy.
mud. Yeah, it's a swamp, basically.
You have to climb over a barbed wire fence to get there as
I mean,
well.
It seems like the most picturesque place of English countryside.
Yeah, I would definitely go and have a
fuck
picnic
yeah.
there. And you know what I'd take on that picnic?
What would you do?
I would have corn on the cob,
Oh, well, that's specific.
a cup,
Would you take some champagne?
and you know what I'd put in that cup?
Oh no, a beer.
Baileys. Baileys.
Bailey's Irish
A
cream.
cup for the Baileys Irish
Did it-
cream,
but-
and I'd eat a corn on the cob.
Wait, would the cup be a mug from your house? A ceramic mug?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
I
right,
only
okay.
drink Baileys out of mug. What? What, you don't?
Well, no. Everyone at home has to listen to. I mean, it sounds. We're not saying that what the prosecution found, and we'll talk about later, wasn't true. It's just fucking ridiculous. That, I mean, granted, the prosecution, the defense said, yeah, that he could have gone there for a picnic.
Yes.
Right? One, do you go to a muddy fucking backward under flyover, over a barbed wire fence, horrible place to be, place with a corn on the cob,
Yep, just one corn
Just
on
one.
the cob, in case you get peckish from all of the Baileys.
a bottle of Bailey's, which is Irish. What is actually is it's cream and
I
whiskey?
think it's like
It's cream and whiskey. It's an Irish drink. I think it's in America. So
yeah.
we keep doing the American thing because most of our listeners are in America.
Yeah.
But
Howdy.
so taking the bottle and sitting there going, oh, I'm gonna have some corn on the cob. Oh, I'm gonna glug some Baileys. But because I'm on a picnic, I'm gonna put it in a
I'm
mug.
not going to drink it out of a bottle. I'm not a savage.
But I'll eat the corn on the cob and then just discard it.
Just discard
Just
it.
discard it.
It's biodegradable.
I mean, but they didn't find a checkered blanket.
I'm thinking checkered blanket and maybe a cob holder.
Yeah.
You know, a little
I mean,
skewer
why
that's
do you
also
have
in
that?
the shape of a corn on the cob.
Of course. So yeah, I mean, no one fucking believes he went there for
A
a
lovely
little
picnic. And also the because we obviously, like we said, which was suggested by a listener. So again, thank you. She pointed out, didn't she, as well, that everyone in the local area knows that isn't a natural beauty spot.
No.
It's not somewhere people go to.
Nobody would. I mean,
And
yeah, but
also,
then they said
he
that
owns hundreds of acres of land.
go into one of your.
Why is he going to go to a
And this
boggy
wasn't even on his
depot?
land; it was near his land.
Yeah,
Wasn't it?
he's not even- he's got all this land. You know what?
Yeah.
Bit of a busman's holiday going on his own land,
I
isn't it? So he
know.
wants to go across the road, but not over a fence, but not too far.
You might have to explain what busman's holiday is.
I think everyone knows what a busman's holiday is, don't they,
they?
Christian?
Do they?
So a busman's holiday
Is it?
is doing something that you kind of maybe do in your job, but doing it for fun, such as someone who drives a bus going on holiday on a bus. Bit of a busman's holiday.
Oh right.
Yeah,
I once didn't know that.
you did once, didn't know that.
I once didn't know that.
The trouble is, when you once didn't know that, you were probably in your mid-30s.
Yeah. I thought Busman's Holiday was a holiday company.
like Thompson's or
like
Thomas
Thompson's,
Cook.
Thomas Cook, or Saga Holidays.
And when we were talking about it, you got all defensive. Went, I don't know, I wasn't poor. I didn't go on those kind of holidays.
The funny thing was, I was poor, and still am. Oh, funny. Anyway,
Lol.
back to the lovely
Ruffle.
Yeah, the other theory they came up with was that because Bill suffered from depression, they thought he might have committed suicide. Now, I know people in the throes of like wishing to end themselves do not necessarily do the things.
It's not logical.
It's not logical, but I don't think anyone who's about to kill themselves goes down to their kitchen and goes, you know what I'm going to take? I'm going to kill myself. I'm going to have my last meal. Baileys and corn on the cob
Baileys
in a
and
mug.
corn on the cob. Maybe he loved that. Maybe he was like, I'm going to dip the Baileys. I'm going to dip the corn on the cob in my mug of Baileys.
Oh, what was if he got there and tried to dip the corn on the cob, but the mug was
it
too
didn't
small?
Fit.
Oh, the defence suggested.
Yeah,
the
he had a
picnic
history
theory.
he had a history of mental health or whatever mental health issues, and it was suggested that because of all the turmoil happening, he doesn't want to divorce his wife. His wife wants divorce. She's having a relationship with this other guy. Maybe he took himself off and committed suicide. But
there's also a thing they think it could have been an accident because if you get stuck in like that mud as he was up to his waist, isn't like he's sunk down it. That is. It's like it'll be like quicksand.
Yeah,
you'll get in there. You will not be able to get out.
I read that like machinery and people have previously. There's history of people and machinery being stuck in that. So berry mud.
It could have been he was. Let's say he was drunk at home. So all he had in the house was Baileys, and he was getting drunk on it. And he went for a walk near his land, and he had corn on the cob with him as well because from earlier today, I fucking ate that. Being drunk. Now think about you're drunk.
You're painting that picture. I can totally see myself doing that.
I can see myself with a bottle of Baileys and go, oh, I better take something to put the Baileys in, and not even going to the Glasgow, picking up a mug because it's easier to carry.
Absolutely. It's got a handle.
Yeah. Getting there, crawling over a fence because you're drunk and you don't notice the barbed wires.
Singing Wild One.
Yeah. And then basically get stuck in the mud and done. All this, they also said it could be natural causes. He could have had a heart attack. Or something like that.
Whilst out for a walk in the bog.
Whilst out for a walk, or someone else.
Yeah.
Like, if I don't want to cast aspersions on someone who hasn't been arrested, but Gavin Folds, for instance, as his DNA was on the towel of as well as Paul Cannon's, then he has as much reason because he's Angela's kid to kill Bill as say Angela would have done in a sort of bystanders layman view of not knowing the facts. It's like
when you're just looking at it without going deep into it, when you're opening it, I'm not sure that's what the police did. They were like, right, who's got means and motive?
Yeah.
And you look at everyone and you'd look at all of these people that we've mentioned.
Yeah, I mean, you've got William Taylor, who was prone to depression quite a lot and had severe tinnitus.
So I would say tinnitus. I think our friends over the pond would say tinnitus.
So he was a very troubled man.
But they're wrong.
Oh.
Wow.
But yeah, so they had a look. They went to court because they found WhatsApp messages. The police found WhatsApp messages on Paul Cannon's phone. Angela had got rid of her phone.
Okay. Yep.
But they found it on Paul, even though he deleted it from WhatsApp. He didn't know that your phone cache will save a copy of everything you've done until you delete it. It's what the point of the cache is.
All of your horrible media things that my so-called friends share with me.
Yes, that'll be on your phone until you delete the cache and delete the phone.
Yeah, I know that. Awful people.
But then it's basically the texts and the WhatsApp messages that has been used as primary evidence against both of them.
What I like, so the first bit of that is they didn't use whatever messenger app they were using or SMS messages to talk about these, what we're going to talk about in a minute, share these plans or fantasies, depending what way you look at it. Just a bit of just bands, just bands, just chat, because apparently WhatsApp is secure. No one could ever find out.
It's not secure.
No,
nothing on your phone is secure. No matter what the government tries to lead you to believe that, we need to get into this iPhone because we can't, so we're gonna have to get Apple to open it. They can fucking get into it.
Yeah,
it's a false story that it's like trying to say, this is secure, because the more they tell you it's secure, the more you'll use it. And then they'll find out. You think they can't break into a phone? Like they can't find records of what you've done.
Of course they can. They faked the moon landing.
Yeah. And they faked the moon. Doesn't exist.
No.
Hologram.
It's just a button.
I know. But yeah, they found 28,000 messages.
Yeah, I was going to say, I highlighted that number as well.
Yeah, between February and June 2018, which it sounds like a lot, but I've got 22,000 WhatsApp messages over the space of a year. Which, all right, there's not 6 months, then they're obviously talking it more.
I suppose if all of a sudden you were, within those messages, you were going to start fantasizing about murdering like your lover's ex, you might increase the numbers, I guess, substantially.
Yeah. And they did talk about,
hypothetically,
on text about getting rid of their phones, and they didn't want it traceable. That in itself, to me, isn't evidence they've done something. It's evidence they don't want to be found out talking about something, which is completely different. Like,
obviously,
I don't want them to know that, like, he's missing. We're talking about wanting to kill him. Oh no, we talked about wanting to kill him. Now he's missing. Get rid of these. I would do that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. You'd be like, shit. I mean, I feel guilty if the police stop and talk to me about
No, I
anything.
know. But we'll go over a couple of the texts. So, after the Land Rover was torched,
The WhatsApp
this is
messages.
the WhatsApp messages. After the Land Rover was torched, Angela sent Paul Cannon a message saying,
Was it? Did you hear about the terrible news about my husband, who I don't like, but I still have, a certain amount of feelings because we've got a family
And
together,
respectful.
and I'm respectful. He's very successful, and it's terrible. His
in
beloved,
fact, what we're doing is wrong. I should go back to him.
yeah, his beloved Land Rover has gone up in smoke.
No,
Oh no, it wasn't.
no.
Oh, okay.
It was, darling, you light my fire. Kiss, kiss, kiss. That's XXX. She didn't write kiss, kiss,
No,
kiss.
yeah.
That'd be a bit weird. Actually, she wrote XXXX. But
That's too many.
that in itself means A, she knew his Land Rover was torched and thought he did. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind that he actually did that.
And
I mean,
B,
that's-
she's a fan of the Doors
yeah.
or Will Young.
Oh God, it's gonna be Will Young.
Do you remember
isn't
he
it?
covered that? I'd
Yeah,
forgotten until
but-
that very
But
moment.
looking at a picture of her, you can
Mm.
tell she bought that.
I bet she loves Will
Fucking
Young.
hell. Nothing against Will Young. If you're listening, Will, good on you. But
Billy Y,
yeah,
keep
no.
doing what you're doing, but
In the months beforehand, Cannon told Taylor he would kill for her,
Oh yes, I thought
and was
did-
afraid of losing her.
Yes,
Yeah, and then he went on to say, "Right, I'm going to do this. Should I do it in a farmer's? What accent should I do? I don't know what accent he had. It looks like his his face is very caveman-esque. So that, you know what I'd like to do? Make love to you on this kitchen table with your pussy soaked in blood, with him tied to a chair so he has to watch.
oh.
Then send him to hell. That's to hell.
To hell, yeah,
To hell. And to which her reply was, "That'll finish him off."
I don't think that's.
No, it won't.
Wait,
That's not how you
what
finish
finishing
him.
off are we talking about?
Who knows?
End his life or
Wank him off.
yeah,
I'd probably finish his
Nuts.
wank.
in his chair?
I don't know. But it's fucking like, all right,
It's-
fair enough. I mean, now you've got to think, right, reading that message, it's like, oh, fuck off, that's awful. But then look at him. Can you imagine, like, it's like your dad coming up and going, oh, when your pussy soaked in blood, well, I fuck you. It's like, oh, no, shut up. Behind closed doors.
That's awful. And
Um,
we've all I shouldn't start that with we've all.
Yeah.
You know what it's like when you have a conversation with someone, not saying like a sexually charged murdering someone conversation, but just a conversation,
Yeah.
and it kind of escalates, and maybe you say something in bad taste in the heat of the moment to
Yeah.
join in and stuff, and then afterwards you're like, shouldn't have said that.
Or it was taken in the wrong way. Like, you could have had a conversation with someone in the day and say, you heard somebody say about, like, using the word pussy in a sex conversation. You found it funny because of how it was said.
Yeah, yeah.
So then you said, going, oh, I want to do that. You don't know the backstory to where the messages come from. So we're taking it purely on a clinical,
But
this is looking at just the words.
But I feel that excuse is probably more than it all even should.
Yeah, I mean,
But I do feel like saying I want your pussy covered in his blood
yeah.
is kind of a bit gross.
Yeah, and they had fantasies of showering together as Bill's blood ran down the drain, and they cut off his ligaments and fingers.
I thought that was very specific when they said ligaments. I don't
Yeah,
know why.
but bear in mind, Bill's ligaments and fingers were not cut. So
No, it's probably turned out it was quite a lot of work.
yeah, and they had loads of messages about the best way to kill the farmer and hurt his family from a previous marriage.
Well, that's not very nice, is it?
No, I mean the killing him isn't nice.
Well, no, but,
Yeah, but then-
killing him isn't nice, but
Yeah.
you can almost get to being like, you're fucked.
yeah,
But I know why you want to kill him because you
Yeah.
hate his guts. But then, like,
Fuck
leave
the
his
family
family
as well.
alone.
But then again, Cannon had a grudge against the son, who dobbed them in and got him fired.
Yes.
But
Dobbed
then,
in, for our American listeners, means
snitched on.
snitch. I was trying to think of some word.
But also they
Some word.
they had references about killing him with pickaxes, chainsaws, and barbed wire. There was barbed wire on the fence. Oh, they did it.
Say that again. Say those.
They basically had some of the messages that the courts read out included reference to killing him by pickaxe, chainsaw, and barbed wire.
That sounds like an extreme wrestling match, like Cactus Jack back in Japan in the 90s.
Yeah, but they said they had various scenarios that discussed killing them, and they all they described them as a turn on. And it's like, well, of course, they're basically running fantasy role play, whether
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
disgusting or not. Whether any of us agree with that being erotic, it can be classed as
Absolutely,
even if
because-
they did it, it's still going to be a turn on. That's why they're doing it.
Well, yeah, and because they have the common theme for them is the fact that they want him gone,
Yeah.
and also, just I can almost see that escalation. It's weird, and I'm definitely not something I'm interested in.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm protesting too much. But like the escalation of over like maybe weeks or months of messaging of like, oh, we should get rid of him. Or wouldn't it be funny if he disappeared? Maybe if something happened to him, maybe he could have an accident on the farm. Imagine if this happened. And then it just goes on, or maybe if we made the accident happen, we could make it look like an
Yeah.
accident. And then all of a
Bear
sudden,
in mind, 28,000 messages.
Yeah.
That we don't know any escalation here.
all of a sudden she's got a pussy soaked,
In
blood soaked pussy,
With-
and
Cut off ligaments up there.
cut
you
off
know.
ligaments. I mean,
But then there's she also sort of said about I feel like going up there right now and fucking beheading him. I don't know if that's there's a comma missing or it's actually not
fucking beheading him,
fucking and beheading him.
and behead it,
I don't know,
or
or just fucking beheading him.
or fucking him so hard his head falls off.
Yeah, I mean, we need to get together and sort out a plan. We've got to get him out of the picture very soon, darling. You know, there's obviously a lot of what they talked. They talked about Plan B, which is actually about Bill.
Yeah, I saw
So
that. They thought they
plan-
were being clever.
Yeah, so B or Plan B was the code for killing Bill.
I thought Plan B was like the morning after pill in America or something.
Hey. And Paul Cannon confirmed he had made inquiries, I think it was in the pub, about hiring a hitman. But upon hearing the price, decided he could do it himself. And they discussed not using text messages for fear of police searching their phones. But it was Paul that reassured Angela that WhatsApp would be okay.
It would be okay.
Yeah.
I would have chosen like Bret Hart if I was searching for a hitman because he is
Yeah.
the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be. And you know you're not going to do any better than that.
Apparently not. But then on the night that Bill vanished,
Yes.
Cannon messaged Taylor saying, "Just watching Kill Bill 2, lol."
I don't know. That's so ridiculous.
And she just
so
said, but
stupid.
she replied with, "One would be nice. Kill Bill 2, one would be nice."
Yeah.
This is the night he went missing.
Yeah.
Now, that reply doesn't sound like someone who knows that he just died. One would be nice.
Just to kill one of them. Like have
Kill
one dead
one
Bill.
would be nice. Not one was nice or
Yeah.
one would be nice. It still sounds like to me they were still carrying on the
Yeah.
role play. At least she
He's
was.
like, it's funny because I'm watching Kill Bill and we want to kill Bill, but he's watching the second one.
And
So
she's
it's like
saying
he's
one
actually
would be
watching
nice.
it and he's like, yeah, I get, yeah.
I mean, that's what to me.
I kind of enjoy the pun a little bit.
Yeah.
It's kind of good, but awful.
But it's like,
Obviously awful.
I hate if they are guilty, fine. But there's so many bits of this that make me go. But no,
But do we know
makes-
that? But we also though we don't know the timeline. It
They
like,
know
of-
that they know that this that was on the night he vanished. That they sent this message, so he might not be even been dead.
No, he might.
Just because he went,
Has he vanished yet? That night.
Yeah. like he went vanishing. That was dated the same day. That was the night that he went missing. That they did that.
But like, because we don't know if they had a phone call, if they spoke to each other after, and
Yeah.
we're like, okay, let's go do it now. But they could have sent
True.
that, and then they went and did it.
Possibly, yeah. I mean, but Callan told the jury, we get off on this sort of stuff. Violence and sex, that was our fancy world. It's no boundaries. You can do whatever you want in a fantasy. I feel bad just
When
doing
Baby
that
D
accent.
released that song, "Let Me Be Your Fantasy," I don't think that's what they were imagining, were they?
Be a
Fantasy, pussy blood.
Oh, Jesus.
I
The thing I agree with was what the defense said about this. They said death threats are a common currency. They don't describe a coherent plan to murder, which they
that
don't.
is true. So also involved in being tried with the other two defendants was a man named Gwyn Griffiths.
So say it again.
Gwyn, I said it wrong as well.
Yeah.
Gwyn Griffiths. He's a third
Welsh.
yeah. defendant, of Folkestone, Kent,
No,
which is not very near to Welsh, to Wales, but presumably Welsh family. He was apparently he worked with Mr. Cannon. He was a colleague of his.
So he was on the quarry.
Diggy dig digs,
Digga dig digs.
chugga chugga digga digga, chug chug dig. I assume that's what happens. I don't know. I work in an office. What is it? What do these people do? Chuggy dig,
Chuggy dig.
dig dig dig, chug chug chug.
Anyway,
I'm down with the people.
You're down with children.
Children.
So this Gwyn
Anyway,
Griffiths.
so Gwyn Griffiths, he was tried as well. He was tried for conspiracy to murder,
What for?
conspiracy
What
to
did he do?
murder. Also being tried for murder, conspiracy to murder, and also arson as well. They were talking to him
What,
about
they
the
thought
arson.
that he had something to do with the truck as well. Is that some
Yeah.
more fucking evidence they found?
Yeah, I
on
don't
this
know. I
one bit of
can't see any
towel?
information about that, but they put him in touch with that because he was Gwyn Griffith.
Hmm.
So the third defendant, he was allegedly involved in trying to hire a hitman.
So when he said he was going to find how much it costs,
Yeah.
actually it's too expensive. Like going out, he was probably the person down the pub.
I bet
he
they went
asked.
like, yeah, I bet it was like, oi, Gwyn, oi, Griff,
Yeah.
Griffy,
Can't do a Welsh
GG.
accent. Yes, no, that's Indian.
That was
No, I
no,
can't do it. No,
boyo,
no.
boyo. To be sure,
I'll just
it's,
say yes,
yes.
yes. How can
Yeah.
I help you, Mr. Cannon? But yeah, so he
So anyway,
basi-
so he said, yeah. So he obviously, presumably, he's the guy that he went up to and was like, "How much to murder a body?"
and he went, oh, lots of pounds.
Like he was like, "How many pounds? That
Oh,
many?
many.
That's too many pounds. Is it like a monkey
At
or
least-
a pony?
It's a table. I don't know.
A 4 score and a
four-
grand?
yeah.
I don't know. A key?
Yeah,
Is it
Cockney rhyming, whatever. So yeah, he and obviously
at least a ton?"
he probably did ask him.
Yeah, he probably asked him. He probably went and spoke to some mate of
Mates,
his,
a
and
mate.
he went like, "I know, I'd do it for fucking
Hand job on a topic bar.
yeah,
Yeah,
50 guineas."
50. We're not at the Euro yet.
So I went back to Victoria, and I thought we were doing
we thought we were doing Jack the Ripper.
Jack the
again.
Ripper again.
London.
He'd asked,
So
he'd asked Jacob Rees-Mogg how much it cost.
so with Gwyneth, they
Gwyn.
So they found him. They dismissed all
Not
charges
guilty. Yeah,
Um,
he was not guilty. They found
because
him not
don't
guilty.
be so fucking stupid. He wasn't guilty.
He just had a chat.
And the fact that they tried to get him for arson as well, to
Yeah.
me meant the police were fucking scrambling.
They were just looking. I'm 99.9% sure. Actually, 100% sure. I've drunk in pubs where if I went up to some of the locals
Yeah.
and said how much to get rid of someone, they'd come back with a price. Doesn't mean they know dick about doing it
no,
or anything.
not
But
in the
they're-
slightest. I mean,
they're-
you do go to any
They're just
pub and
fucking
do that.
full of front, and they would do it, and they would come back and tell you how much it cost.
So they got him. Then what happened at the end? After this, bear in mind, this was the evidence. What we talked about over the past half an hour.
Yeah.
Not long.
So
that was the
evidence is. So let's actually we'll just go back over.
Yeah.
So William Bill Taylor found dead
was found 8 months after he was reported
Yep.
missing by his lodger,
in a bog
in a-
up to his
up to
waist.
his waist.
He was found with
Baileys.
Bailey's cup and a
Corn on the cob.
corn on the cob that I think was eaten.
Yeah.
It suggested that he either maybe went for a picnic in this lovely British countryside,
Killed himself,
maybe killed himself, or maybe just went for a wander, got stuck, died,
or someone else killed him.
or someone else killed him. The evidence is fantasy WhatsApp messages saying, "I really want to do murders to him. Oh, I'd love to do murders for you to
And
him."
at no point in these things do they say we should take him down to here. We should do this. There's no coherent plan. Or in all their fantasies, none of their fantasies actually were describing what happened.
We're gonna go take him to Browntown.
Do you mean the mud?
Yeah, I meant the mud. That's what I meant. What did you think I meant?
Nothing.
Goodness gracious. And because he was so badly decomposed, the only thing they could find was a break in the neck, which could be consistent with strangulation,
Yep.
but might also not be because there's no other. Obviously, because if he wasn't decomposed, they would have looked for rope marks,
Yeah.
hand marks, bruising around the neck. Just a broken bone, like probably a hyoid bone.
Just a
Suggests-
broken bone. No, no,
Living
I'm
in
gonna-
a lonely home.
Okay, well, by the way, we are making light of this, but we're not making light of the fact that an innocent man died.
No, it's fucking awful. It's
It is-
clearly
it is
awful.
fucking
Hopefully,
awful,
people
but
who've listened
this-
to us normally would realise we
yeah,
don't.
but this whole case is just—it struck a chord with me of how absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah,
it
we'll
is.
talk. I think we'll talk about this in a
Yeah.
second. I'll give the
Yeah. So what happened?
to them.
What happened?
So after all of this, and the evidence was the burnt out Land Rover.
That happened 9 weeks before he went.
Yeah.
He disappeared.
He disappeared as well 2 days before his birthday, which I feel for some
Which
reason
sucks.
extra sad about.
Which,
To-
to be fair, adds to
Just for his
the
70th
defence's positing maybe he killed himself because
Yeah, that's true. I mean,
you never know.
yeah. Birthdays,
know.
Christmases, things like that are kind of tough if you're struggling.
Fucking
Um,
Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays.
They were found guilty
Yep.
and sentenced to 21 years each
This is my problem.
for murdering him.
Right, so Chris, my opinion is
Go on.
you
You don't normally give opinions on things.
No,
This is
no, no.
unusual.
no, but I believe quite firmly
Anything called love?
That no.
I believe that children are the future.
Oh yes, obviously. Well, literally they are. I mean, it's not like
Yeah,
it's
that's
an
not a belief.
opinion. It's
I
not
know
a
that's
belief.
so ridiculous, isn't it?
It's like literally the children are your future.
I work with someone, and he said to me once, "I don't believe in coffee." Which what he meant was he doesn't like caffeine and stimulants.
Well,
But
say
what he
I
says,
don't like
I don't believe in coffee or I don't believe in caffeine. It was
I
like
can literally
it's not a
prove-
matter of faith.
So, would you like this cup of nothing then?
Yeah.
I can't taste a thing.
How about if I throw this boiling hot cup of nothing over your face?
No,
This decaffeinated coffee's burning me.
no,
Sorry,
it'd be
I just-
decaffeinated drink. It wouldn't be coffee because coffee doesn't exist either.
No, I think it was caffeine. Is
just
what
caffeine?
He was talking about caffeine.
I don't believe in
specifically.
caffeine.
I don't believe in caffeine. Anyway, sorry, that was.
But yeah, so
that was sidetracked.
I have a problem because I believe that with the justice system being what it is, and I'm a believer in the justice system. I think obviously it's flawed, as every single legal, sort of governmental system would be. But if you have evidence and can be proved beyond a reasonable doubt that the person did it, then you must convict them. But if you cannot prove that, they must get away with it. I don't care how awful the person is and how obvious he did it or she did it. If you cannot prove it, then by our law standards, they cannot be tried.
Do you believe that? Do you feel that with the like advances in forensics, the burden of proof has shifted? Do you know what I mean? I hadn't thought of that question until you just said that. So
yeah, I mean,
sorry, I just
it would have
jumped
done
that on
because
you. But back in
law-
the day, you wouldn't have had anything.
No,
And people would have never been found guilty. Not never, but
Well,
a lot
no,
of people wouldn't have been
I think
found
the people
guilty.
that were found guilty were there with the knife above the person saying, "I'm glad I killed them," and then they would be found guilty.
I've done it. Are you sure I've done it? Yeah, I'm doing it again. Look, I'm doing it right now.
But then it was also different because if they found, say, the murder weapon in your house or something, you'd be convicted. That would be the evidence they had. Even though nowadays that isn't a burden of proof of saying you did it, because evidence can be planted.
Yeah.
So even though DNA evidence
And
has made it
grow like an evidence tree.
yeah, basically. That's what happens. But yeah, so I even though they most likely did it, I'm not saying they didn't do it. Legally, I cannot see how a WhatsApp conversation where they don't describe exactly how it's done, I know they're speaking in shit code with this Kill Bill thing.
Plan B.
Because they didn't explicitly admit culpability for what they've done.
No, they explicitly talked about other things.
They talked about fucking while killing him. Not about killing him. Which are two.
No.
I think.
However, actually, I've got a couple of bits here. So
Show me your couple of bits.
I didn't mean to cut. I didn't mean to cut you off. Then I apologise.
I do it to you all the time.
Yeah, but I feel bad about it.
I don't.
Clearly.
Yeah.
Shit. Now I forgot what I was going to say. Oh fuck! I remember one bit, but the
Go
second
on, do
bit
the
was
one
more
bit. We'll see if
interesting. Now
the
I can't
second bit
remember.
comes onto it later.
So I agree with you, but I also disagree because I think if I was on that trial, on that jury, I'd probably find them guilty.
Because you look at them and they look like fucking killers.
Because the way that he's found, the area that he's found is so bizarre that the fact that he's gone there on his own seems almost impossible. It just seems so far beyond the realms of of any normal reality.
But then you've got to think that if he's got, we're presuming, or everyone's presuming that was the final destination of where he was going. He climbed over a barbed wire fence, or was taken over a barbed wire fence. Fine.
But okay,
But
so say he went there off on his own.
But there is no doubt that the body ended up getting stuck in the mud, whether it's post or pre-mortem. He was drunk on Bailey's and just stumbling around, wanting to go to town because the flyover that was beside him was the town one. He could have got to town if he followed it far enough. He could have been just stumbling his way somewhere and got stuck and couldn't go any further. Everyone's all like, oh yeah, he went there for a picnic. He didn't go there. I don't think anyone went there. That he either went through or somebody placed him there because it was a shit hole that they thought nobody'd go to and it's got mud. I think he was killed, but I don't know.
I just remembered the other bit. So the other thing, one thing is it's next to a road, so it's easy for them to pull up, dump his body at night time, get rid of it. But the other thing I was going to say was,
it's not that easy to pull up and dump his body. They can't drop it off the flyover. They've got to go carry him over the barbed wire fence, down the place, and then plant the most middle-class evidence
That's so weird.
ever. Calling the cob, a mug, and some Baileys.
So I feel like if they strangled him in his home,
Yeah.
and they looked around, probably a couple of things at him, and were like, "Oh yeah, just eat that."
It
That
went-
does seem really weird.
They would have killed him in the kitchen. If that's going to be the
Yeah,
case,
that's what I think
they would have
did
killed him in the kitchen. Because otherwise, but then again, you're not going to fucking take a sofa down there, are you?
No, we killed him in the living room, so we're going to set up his living room outside. He just came for a
Yeah.
sit down,
I mean, you got to think that.
watch Bake Off.
But then again,
Um,
he's depressed, and the only drink that he had, obviously on the side, if this is, let's say this was a setup and somebody did it, they were in his kitchen and went, quick, grab some alcohol. And
Also, like,
they grabbed Bailey's.
I'd be depressed if all I had to drink was Baileys. I mean, I'll still drink it.
Oh, fuck yeah.
But the corn on the cob as well, like that could be anything. That could have been dropped by like a bird or something. Like,
Do
but
you know anyone who cooks a corn on the cob? One.
yeah, if I'm making one for
You
me.
make one. That's it. No, nothing else. You make a corn
Oh
on
right,
the
no,
cob.
sorry, nothing else.
You
You
get
know
your
what I really
boiling pan
fancy?
out, you bung a cob in there, and you boil it, or you put it in foil and bung it on the barbecue, whatever. But still, one. And Bailey's.
I just-
And a mug.
You know what I fancy? For a snack, corn on the cob takes too long to bother
Yeah.
with.
I mean,
The other thing I was going to say was when you read about like serial killers
yeah.
and you hear about their first kill, it's normally much more difficult, takes much longer, is much more like labor intensive,
Yeah.
for lack of a better word or better phrase, than they expect it to be. And that's the other thing I was going to say was if we go the assumption that they did it
Yeah.
and they had all these
They definitely did.
they had
Yeah, I know.
and they had all these fantasies that we'll do this, we're going to kill him, we'll grab him, we'll tie him to a chair, we'll have sex with him. So he's tied to the chair, but also lost a lot of blood
Yeah.
over your vagina for some reason somehow. Or like we're gonna
Or maybe she. No, I'm not going to. I was going to say she put the knife up there and killed him with it. And then. Why did I just say it?
Stop,
after I
why
said
did you? I'm not going to
it?
say it and then say it like bayonet pussy. So they had all these fantasies about how to kill. When you look at serial killers, their first kills are normally every single time I've read it, they've got better at it, and the
Yeah.
first time is a fucking nightmare. So these guys, they think we're going to do this, we're going to do this, we're going to have all these fantasy murder sex
Get a
things
serial
going
killer,
on.
a chainsaw,
Gonna
get a
have
chainsaw.
a murder sex party.
Mhm.
Name of our new band.
Nice.
But what they did was grabbed him. It was really fucking hard work. Strangled him till he died, and were absolutely knackered. And went, let's just chuck him in the bog.
It was like the place. If he was disposed there, why would he only be half in the mud?
Well, maybe they just chucked him on the mud and he just sank.
Half sunk
Do we know what half sunk?
at the bottom half.
So his legs were sticking up.
No, the bottom half sunk. The top half.
Oh, sorry.
didn't sink. Wow. No, now, Chris. The differences between top and bottom.
What am I doing?
Which is,
what is going on?
This is
I'm going to reconsider my whole life because I misunderstood that very basic concept of top and bottom.
But yeah, the bottom half sunk.
What
in,
I
the top
call, because
half-
I tell people my top half is my bottom half because my nose is bigger.
Oh, then your knees. I get it. Yes.
Yeah, than my knees.
Well, so yeah, it
I
opens.
made
up,
a small witty joke.
I know, but it opens up the larger question of what is enough.
What is
evidence
average?
To
Oh, sorry.
Oh no, but what
Oh,
is
we've
enough-
moved on. Sorry.
Yes.
I
What,
was
what
talking
is
about my
enough
penis.
evidence to get you
Sorry, Mum.
prosecuted and convicted? You're not sorry. If a fantasy text for 6 months and alluding to the fact he's dying and all that, but if that is enough,
Is enough.
to put you away for 21 years, did you say?
21 years. each.
21
Yep.
years because they found a body but couldn't determine he was murdered.
Got 21 years to go.
But bear in mind, they've got a body. They can't prove it was murdered. Some people talked about wanting to murder
Yeah.
him.
And he was murdered and he was killed. Sorry,
Yeah.
it seems like he died in a way entirely separate from what they talked about.
Yeah. Yeah, that's enough to take away 21 years of someone's life. Of course, they were not believable characters. And if we're going with the Fred and Rose West school of what an English serial killer or killer looks like, oh, Paul Cannon has it down.
Oh, yeah.
Motherfucker looks like a Fred West.
He does. I think he's just like, he's gone on Stars in Her Eyes. And tonight, Matthew, I'm going to be Fred West.
I mean, she ain't
Rawr.
she ain't a pretty girl.
She's no
Give
oil
her that.
painting, is she?
No, she's looks a bit oily. You're,
Gargoyle painting.
yeah, but you've got.
That was a shit pun.
I know.
apologise.
Sorry,
Gargoyle painting.
but you've got those two. I mean, I think there is actually evidence to suggest, as much as they had to convict, that Paul Cannon killed him and she had fuck all to do with it, only because of the text at night where she replied saying one would do.
One would do, and then he's dead.
Because he said, "I've watched Kill Bill."
And the thing is,
too."
'cause-
Ha, ha, ha,
And
ha.
the other thing is as well, like you've got, I know it's possible, but women are less likely to kill than a man.
Yeah.
He's doing it for love for the person he's obsessed with,
Mm-hmm.
and he's a bigger bloke, and she's a lady.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? Like it. What's the word I'm looking for? Logistically,
Yeah.
it's way more likely that he's going to be the one to have the power
Yeah.
and he's an older guy, William, like to do it, and also the fact that he's doing it to get the love of his life.
Yeah. I mean, basically, you've got Paul Cannon, 54 years old. You've got Angela Taylor, 53 years old at the time of their conviction.
Yeah.
They're not like, they're not.
And William was 69.
William was
2
69. He
days
was an
before
old
his
guy.
70th
I mean,
birthday.
and Paul looks like he can handle himself. He also looks like he could chew glass and probably bum a sheep.
Yeah, I think I think when he's doing his digging, he's also like
bumming a sheep.
bumming a sheep and chewing glass.
Yeah, I mean, it's like he
Wipes
does,
his bum with sandpaper.
but that's it. I love.
Something.
Completely like separate to the topic. I absolutely adore looking at mugshots of people, even though I don't even know who they are or know their crime.
Yeah.
Like there's the online you can find sort of mugshot galleries of just various people. I love looking through them because I don't know how they do it. It must be intentional. When somebody has got a serious crime, they kind of manage to encapsulate that crime in the picture.
That is
Like,
true.
If there's somebody who's been done for raping a chicken, for instance, you know that the guy the picture of, he's going to be like really skinny, kind of like really gaunt, and
probably
like
wearing dungarees.
And just look really. You know there will be a look. You know if somebody's been caught for murder, like Paul Cannon has, he's going to look like a fucking murderer.
Yeah.
I don't know how the police do it because all they say is look forward, click, look side, click. That's it. But it must be like an Instagram filter.
Do you think?
Like, they're going
a
serial killer, a nonce filter. Oh, there we go.
Epstein. It's called the Epstein.
He didn't kill himself.
Didn't kill himself.
No, he didn't kill himself. I mean, I'd love to do an episode on Epstein, but it would literally be for the whole way through. Me each go, didn't kill himself. No, he didn't do it.
Hashtag.
That didn't kill himself.
Epstein didn't kill himself.
That's what I think it was. That video of have you seen the video of the pilot, the pilot losing control of the plane? And the engines are failing. So, oh my god, the engine's failing. Oh my god, I want to. It's my family. You know, he just goes on about like saying, "I'm really sorry, and I hope my family like forgive me for all this." Then just Epstein didn't kill himself, and then cuts. You know, because obviously it's a setup.
Yeah. I saw a clip of it was some person who was talking about service dogs in America.
Yeah,
and he did this thing on the news, and they were talking about, and he was talking about these highly trained dogs, and he was saying like, if you they're like, can I just add a little bit extra at the end? And they're like, yeah. And he's like, well, I just want to say that if you're looking at getting one of these, you know, these type of dogs, whatever, he's like, but I think it was like for a family, you know, remember they're highly trained, they take very specific, blah blah blah. Did this whole spiel, and by the way, Epstein didn't kill himself, and it was on live news on the States. It's really good.
Brilliant. But is it Epstein or Epstein? We've talked about this before.
You know what? I think it's Epstein. Because that's what everyone. No, what do people say?
Einstein.
I can't remember.
But Einstein
See, that's my argument. Is always we don't say Einstein, but we say Weinstein. So we say Weinstein and we say Einstein, and we say Epstein or Epstein. Now I can't remember what I used to say.
Yeah, but no, Jeff didn't kill himself. But anyway, that's beside the point. Jeff didn't kill himself. Nor did Jeff killed himself about as much as Bill Taylor did. Because I mean, we're talking about evidence, and obviously, we cannot ever prove ourselves with our opinions. Our opinions are just our own. They're not based in...
If you hadn't guessed, we are lay people.
Yeah.
You're a lame person.
I'm not a lay. Isn't that what people in Hawaii get put around their neck?
Lay, or like walkers in America.
But
I think they did it. I think they did a murder.
Do you think it's justified that they used evidence that they didn't use evidence to convict them?
Well, circumstantial... Yeah, I was going to say, because circumstantial evidence... It's used regularly.
But they still didn't have circumstantial evidence. There's no evidence of placing them at the scene of the crime, of placing them near the murder site. It's just based on a conversation on a phone.
It is definitely troubling. Like I feel like they did it, and I feel like I would probably have convicted them.
Oh, probably, yeah.
But also, and this definitely shows the flaw in it. If we were in America and we were in a state that had the death penalty, I don't think I could find them guilty.
No.
Because I feel like I could put them away for a number of years, but I couldn't kill them for it. And that's not related to my lack of support for the death penalty.
No, but also when you put someone away for 21 years, they still get to appeal. Like they can appeal right now and then be let out in a couple of years' time if the appeal gets granted.
I think that's... I find that kind of really interesting, that kind of thought experiment of going, you'd put someone away for 20 years, but would you put them to death?
Yeah.
and the burden of proof should ultimately be the same.
The burden of proof, but should be like, now bear in mind, I've seen deepfake
Guilty
videos.
is guilty, and
Like you've seen deepfake videos,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Where it's got, I don't know, some celebrity having sex, or the one with Boris Johnson and Jeremy Corbyn telling you to vote for the other one.
yeah,
Like there's video evidence cannot be trusted. Audio evidence cannot be trusted. The only thing to put someone to death, I think the only thing that I could believe is a combination of their own testimony and irrefutable evidence,
like
forensic evidence.
Yeah.
But I would have to understand the forensic evidence,
yeah.
not just be something go.
Someone say this is it.
Yeah, it can't be a
But-
layman's appreciation of
So
it.
what I'm saying is, but a lot of people, and it happens. Like, I know they do it in the States. They'll say if someone's facing the death penalty, they'll put a different argument across than maybe if someone isn't facing the death penalty, or they'll say like, or they might say that we want to try them for second-degree murder, so they don't face the death penalty, because we're more likely to find them guilty of that than first-degree murder, because it carries the death penalty. That's so fucked. Because if you think someone's guilty of a murder that you've considered, so it's first degree, the only reason they're not knocking it down is because people are less likely to give the death penalty.
Yeah.
Which I don't agree with the death penalty anyway. But my point is, I would probably find these guilty, and I'm saying the flaw in myself as well. I would probably find these guys guilty
for the lesser crime of
For-
prison, or the lesser sentence.
the lesser sentence. If they said you've got to find them guilty, if you find them guilty of this, but they'll die, regardless of my my opposition to the death penalty, just about the burden of proof, it makes you go, I couldn't possibly find them guilty anymore. And
No.
that's so.
Well,
Do you know what I mean? That's
yeah.
kind of troubling. It's so.
That's the trouble I have. I mean, I read it after we were forward this case. I was reading all into it, and bear in mind, we don't have the judge's remarks aren't available yet.
No, just to say how recent this was. So Christian was just saying we don't have the judge's final remarks,
Which I rely on English cases.
they're so important.
Yeah.
They show you so much. And also what they'll do often is the judges will use that to kind of suggest
Yeah.
to the jury.
And it's
what way
interesting to see, but
look.
also they in the remarks they actually go over all the evidence that is actually being convicted on, not that was presented,
Yes.
but the bits like I'm finding you guilty, or that you've been found guilty because of this particular thing.
Yeah, it's so helpful for us. Like it's really
Yeah.
helpful because it means we don't have to read hundreds and hundreds
and
of
bear in
articles
mind, all these
covering the
articles-
exact same details.
And the article's is like the fucking Mirror or something. It's like shitting hell. It's just
Yeah.
we're reading tabloid journalism to try and get facts. So
I ended up using BBC and the Guardian a lot.
Yeah.
Plus some local press was the main thing, and the Independent.
and the Hertfordshire Police.
And the
used their website was good.
The article on the Guardian saying they were sentenced to 21 years was Friday the 8th of November. We're recording this
On the 18th,
on the
10
18th
days
of
later.
November, and this episode is going to come out on the
15 days
23rd
after.
of November. We are so close to this case that
And we still know fuck all about it.
I was going to say, so if anyone feels we haven't done it justice, we genuinely have tried really hard.
I mean, we would.
And there's the same bunch of information.
Yeah.
And if more stuff comes out, we'll revisit it. We'll add it in as an add-on or something.
And I've got to say about the People's coverage of Bill Taylor was kind of despicable, I believe. I mean, of course, it's the fucking tabloids. Of course, it's going to be despicable. But all they keep going on about is wealthy farmer.
yeah,
Like, fucking hell.
like
he's-
it's relevant.
Yeah, it's like, what, him being a farmer had no bearing on his death. Him being wealthy had no
It actually
bearing
didn't.
on
I
his
think
death.
if
She had
If
half
he
his
hadn't,
estate,
if he hadn't given her half of his estate
maybe.
and he was refusing a divorce, then absolutely,
Hmm. 'Cause
it's
bear in mind,
money is a
They
motive.
already did the settlement for
Yeah,
them thing.
absolutely.
Him dying, she would not be eligible for
No.
a cent from him,
She's
or a
already got
penny, or a shilling,
or
a groat,
a shekel.
or a shekel. Yeah, so it's like there was no monetary value in
No.
this murder for them. There was no him being a farmer. He wasn't even found on his own fucking land.
Just next door.
Just next, but that's what things like people's talk about him as, oh, this guy who was depressed and suffered tinnitus, whatever we pronounce, and he was wealthy and liked Bailey's corn on the cob and a mug of nothing. Nobody actually talked about who he actually was or
No,
what he
yeah.
had done apart from he loved it. And it's like, I feel like a lot of in these cases, victims are just names.
They're lost, aren't they?
But it's like,
And we're probably
do the same.
We're as guilty of it as anyone. And we actually we talked about this before. We were like, what should we title it? What are we gonna?
yeah.
Wow. What are we gonna title it as? And I said, use the name of the victim. But we have never used the name of the victim
No.
as a title. We didn't want to change our
I mean,
what we do.
I think we might call it the murder of William Taylor type thing. Like, and make it because
Maybe,
I
yeah,
feel
and in
like-
brackets because he's lost in this story.
he's completely lost in the story, and we lost him in the story as well. When talking around, we're joking around about being stuck in the mud, and it's all fun, and all these things he took that were found around his thing, making it
Yeah.
as if he did take them, which he maybe did. I don't know, but I feel like a lot of these cases, in every case we've ever covered, the victims are just names.
It's
and
tragic. Also,
fucking horrible.
you know what I think as well? What I found has been different with this. Normally, when we're covering killers, which is most of the time, we cover serial killers.
Yeah.
We cover multiple victims, and I don't have the fucking capacity to be empathetic
to
to
every
single person, or like of every
we would quit.
52
Yeah.
people that Chikatilo killed. I can't think about all of those 52 people's
I have to-
tragic lives.
Yeah, I have to disassociate myself
Yeah.
from them. But when you're
Whereas
talking
this
about
time it's
one,
one guy.
and one guy that, to be fair, the evidence isn't there that these people did kill. So now I'm just looking at this fucking tragic accident, maybe, or murder, who knows?
yeah, it's just a.
They definitely did it.
It's a yeah. I think they definitely did it.
Jeffrey
but yeah,
Epstein killed himself.
but
No, he
no, he
didn't.
didn't kill himself. Hashtag didn't kill himself. But yeah, it's a to quote the Bee Gees,
Night fever, night fever.
It's a tragedy. No, but it is an absolute. It's an absolute
Back for
tragedy.
good?
It's
I don't know, where are you
awful.
going
We
with
both
this?
went-
Why do we both go
we
for
both
night
went
fever?
for night fever. 'Cause I couldn't.
To be fair, if somebody said, what's the most famous Bee Gees song, that wouldn't be what I would
No,
choose.
Christian, we need to see other people.
I know.
It's
Anyways,
an
yes.
absolute fucking tragedy. It's really awful. And like, joking aside, it's really bad. It's really sad. And I hope, it sounds weird, I hope the people that were found guilty of it are the people that did the crimes. 'cause
Yeah,
you've
I
got
mean-
the right people caught. I think they probably are.
They probably are.
But the lack of forensic evidence is, yeah.
So I think everyone should raise a glass of Bailey's, have a corn on the cob in your other hand, and basically spare a thought for William Bill Taylor.
Yeah. We're not
by the
gonna
way,
do-
his middle name is not Bill.
It's known as Bill.
That's a shit name.
We're not going to do Where Are They Now because we already talked about it. They're in prison
Yeah.
serving 21 years.
Yeah, and so Bill, here's to you. I've got a beer in my hand.
I've got a gin and tonic.
So here's to you, Bill. Hope that your death has been avenged. And if you, Paul, and you, Angela, did this, fuck
you.
And now, as we've done before, we're going to play a little advert, another podcast for you to listen to.
So here's one of our friends.
Whether it's a description, DNA, or physical evidence, a criminal will always leave behind some type of clues to their crime. On the Criminal Prints podcast, we discuss cases with an emphasis on these clues. We call them the Criminal Prints. I'm Jaron, co-host of the Criminal Prints podcast, and I hope you will check us out on Facebook, Twitter at Podcast Criminal, or listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, or Spotify. And remember, keep your record clean and your prints off the scene.
So I've been Chris.
And I've been Christian.
This has been Echo On, a True Crime podcast. You can find us on all the social medias at Echo On Pod and also the website at
echoonpod.com.
echoonpod.com.
Unless
Please-
you try and load it up and it doesn't load up, that means like a couple of weeks ago, we having
Oh,
problems
yeah,
with our
you may have
website.
noticed during the last, you probably didn't because there's, yeah, whatever. You may have noticed during the last episode, which was Crimes in
Hollywood.
Hollywood. It didn't come up, I think, till the day after. I think it was the Sunday it came up, or late on the Saturday, because we had an issue.
It's Donald Trump's fault.
Yeah, it was Donald Trump's fault, and Epstein didn't kill himself.
No, he didn't.
It was an issue with the URL and blah blah blah. But anyway, that's irrelevant. That's not important now. It's working now. Christian worked very hard. Thank you very much, Christian. And
Epstein didn't kill himself.
and
See you
yeah,
guys
so
later.
bye bye.